Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
Hey, Facebook family. Hey, YouTube family. Hey, it's Kim. I'm back for another episode of It's Just Kim, the Facebook Live show. Hey, I'm excited about the show that we're going to talk about today. And I feel like this particular episode is very needful just because of the season that we're in right now. We're in that holiday season. We're moving toward the end of the year. And, there's a lot of questions that we have in our mind about what our next year is going to be like, what the end of this year is going to be like, what have we accomplished? What haven't we accomplished? Different things that we may have going on. But then we always come to this other thing for some people, not everyone, but some people, we get into this season of holiday blues. And so tonight, my husband's going to join me tonight, and we're just going to kind of chit-chat it up about the holiday blues. But before we get started with that, I want to go ahead and start with my mantra. Let's go ahead and hit that mantra. So it's mantra time. Yes. So I know you've had a long day. It's 7:15 and you're winding down. You probably have had your dinner. Maybe you've done your exercise. Maybe you fed the kids. You fed your husband, your significant other. And now it's time for you to wind down. So that's why I'm glad you're here enjoying the show. However, I want to do this with you right now. There's some things that I want you to know that are okay for you. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take about 3 deep cleansing breaths so that we can just clear our minds and clear our thoughts so that we can really get to the meat of the matter tonight. So go ahead, let's close our eyes and go ahead and breathe in through our nose deeply. Blow it on out. Just blow out all the day, everything you dealt with today. Let's do it one more time. And just one more time, the last time. All right, that felt good. I don't know about you, but that felt good to me. So our mantra, I want you to know that it's okay. It's okay for you not to know everything, right? You're not perfect. It's okay for you to make mistakes. It's okay for you to be yourself. It's okay for you to ask for help. It's okay to have a bad day. Maybe today was that day. It's okay to start over. So if you had a bad day, let's go ahead and start over. It's okay for you to set boundaries for yourself. Mhm. It's actually very good for you to set boundaries for yourself. It's okay to be less than perfect. It's okay to do what's best for you. Wow. It's okay to say no. My father in law used to say that's a complete sentence. No, no, period. And it's okay to sometimes not be okay because sometimes we're just not okay. All right. And I want you to know these things. I want you to know that you're loved, that you're worthy, that your feelings are valid, and I want you to know that you are enough. That's right. You are enough. So let's go ahead and get started with our show. I want to go ahead and bring in Bishop Irvin, my husband. He's with me tonight because tonight we're going to talk about the holiday blues. The holiday blues. Um, it's something that happens toward the end of the year. It happens like Thanksgiving time, even maybe before that. But people tend to get a little sad. Yeah, people tend to get a little sad. And while some of us are scurrying around and putting up Christmas decorations and cooking food and making pastries and cookies and cakes and shopping and putting lights up on the house and our Christmas trees and doing all that stuff, there are some people who become very sad and they really struggle with doing those things. Because when you think about it, the holiday time is what? It represents what? Family. It represents traditions, um, having fun with games and cooking and all the gathering of people and gathering of friends. And, something that it started maybe just 2 or 3 years ago called Friendsgiving, where, most times people gather with their families for Thanksgiving. But, if you have some friends that you feel really close to, people are having Friendsgiving. So they're just coming together with some friends prior to Thanksgiving, so they're spending time with people in that way. um, you have those work celebrations, just all kinds of things. And it's funny because you think about all of that. You think about all the things that we do toward the end of the year, all of the festive things that we do toward the end of the year. But then there are some folks that they're not here for it. They're not ready for it, and we get what's called the holiday blues. Now, the holiday blues is not it's not a clinical diagnosis or anything, but it's just it really is a feeling of sadness and sometimes a little depression around the holiday time. And it could be for various reasons. Um, triggered by many things. We're going to go ahead and bring Bishop in now, and we're going to talk about the holiday blues and how both of us actually, have been affected by the holiday blues. He's going to come in. Uh,
Hey, can you hear me?
oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
We're not in the same house, so
Can you hear me?
we're not
Can you
here
hear me?
together. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, so we're not together right now, but we wanted to really talk about this today, the holiday blues. Let me first start by saying, well, I was saying already that sometimes the holiday blues, this is what I was saying, babe. Holiday blues refers to feelings of sadness around the holidays. Okay. It could be a mix of feelings, including anxiety, loneliness, and a sense of loss, because most times people experience the holiday blues around the holidays because, they have experienced loss. They have lost loved ones or things like that. But I also want to get into some other reasons why people experience the holiday blues. Okay. So it could be multiple things. So it could be, like we said, people can be grieving. This could be the very first holiday season that folks are experiencing since a loved one has passed away, and which is probably the hardest, that very first one. And I think it's probably the hardest because there's so much anxiety that's tied into that first. I mean, it's almost really like you think about the first of anything, really, because if it's the first of something, you really don't know what that's going to be like because it's the first. And so people who are experiencing loss, they're grieving, going through a sad time right now, just the idea of them having to experience this holiday, which has always maybe been a fun time, a happy time, now they really don't know what to expect. They really don't know what to expect. And so it can be kind of scary. Can be kind of scary. But besides grieving, there are other reasons people experience the holiday blues. So it could be that maybe you live in a city or a town or state where you have no other family members. You're just by yourself. I mean, you have friends, but it's nothing like the holidays spending it with family, right? So that could be another reason. It could be that, maybe you're lonely. Maybe you don't have a significant other in your life right now. And so most people want to show up to a party or show up to a family function with someone. And maybe you don't have someone. So maybe that's an awkward thing for you. Or maybe you have someone, but you're not quite ready for the family to meet that person. And so that may bring up some feelings for you as well. Estranged relationships. And you kind of talked about that on Sunday in your sermon. You're talking about Joseph and his estranged relationship with his brothers. And so family not being on one accord or being on the same page or not talking or getting together, that can bring in some sadness around the holiday time. You want to piggyback on that?
Yeah, that, but also, I did just deviate just a little bit. I did some studying once you gave me the topic. I looked, and even seasons and weather make a difference.
Yeah, it's called SAD.
Yeah, the
Seasonal
darker,
affect disorder. Yeah.
getting darker earlier,
Mm-hmm.
in the day, not enough daylight,
Yes.
and it's just, I got some notes here too. That I'm gonna do my little
You
thing
better
too.
go with your notes
And I'm
then.
sure, I know you have plenty because you're such a researcher, but I've got 5 things to do to kind of even
Oh,
help me
okay. Go
ease
ahead.
that.
Do your 5 things.
Oh, no. I don't want to rush and get into that too soon. I want to, I want to go with the flow. But yes, family dynamics is definitely something that a lot of people deal with. Different family dynamics. I mean, you celebrating with certain family members, and now per se you don't get along, or there's a wedge. Whether you put the wedge or they put the wedge, or the wedge just happened. I'm not
Yeah. Things
saying it has to go
happen.
in any direction, but life happens. And
Yes.
sometimes you wonder how did I get here? How did we get here?
Right. Right.
And like I said, it's not to put blame on anyone, but it's something that I don't think we as children grow up saying, when I get older, I'm not gonna get along with my siblings. It's not we just really
Right.
keep on
Right.
doing, but things happen, situations come up, situational things, environmental things, all type of things, and then some of us have some proclivities,
Mm.
different dynamics that come out of us when we get older. Some
Mm.
people have mental illness of different things that weren't detected, or
Right.
never diagnosed and things of that sort. And sometimes we don't properly deal with those things, and especially in the Black community. I mean, we talk about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
just recently we started really embracing the fact that there are some mentally challenged
Yes.
people in our
Yes.
families, you know, and some of us that we consider normal got some stuff wrong with us. My father always used to say,
Right.
"Baby, you know, every family is dysfunctional." My father said all
That's
the time,
right.
"Baby, every family got
That's
dysfunction, even
right.
ours." I'm like,
We
"Nah, no
all
way."
have
But yeah,
dysfunction in the family, right?
right, yeah. And my
Because we're
dad
not
said
perfect
all the
people.
time. Yeah, my
Yeah.
dad said all the time, like, "Man, what are you talking about? You know, you're not dysfunctional. I got a mom and a dad in the home, and blah blah blah." But we got some dysfunction.
We got dysfunction. Yeah.
And I'm part of the dysfunction, you know, and I have to even admit that, you know. So I think the more honest and transparent we are about it, we can. Bishop Sanders, good friend of mine, used to say, if you be real with
Hmm.
it, you can get healed of it. You know,
Right.
if you're real with it to get healed up. If you're not
Yeah.
transparent and open about it, then you know you won't get the help that you need. You know, so I'm at the point where it's like, if one song that says "Me, O Lord, standing in need of prayer," I'm not, my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, but it's me, O Lord. So I'm focusing on me. What can I do to make a
Yeah.
better me,
What
so
can
I
I
can be a
do?
so I can be a better me to everybody else. If I'm not a good me to me, it may that sound good grammar, but I think it's a great thought. You know, if I can't be a good me to myself, how can I be a good me to anybody else?
You know what? I'm glad you said that because in this is just a little sidebar. But today I was watching some reels today, and there was this one reel that came up, and they were asking a lady, they were asking her to give some good marital advice. What would you give as some good marital advice? And she was like, "Oh God, I don't want to do that." She said, "Well, I'll tell you what. You have to be in love with you." She
Ooh,
said, "You have to be in love with you
ooh,
because if you love you the way you
wow,
should love you, then you can have the capacity to love somebody else the way
wow,
they need to be loved. But you got to love you first, you
wow.
know? And so sometimes, you know, when we're dealing or when we're in that season, the seasons are changing and we're dealing with that season holiday blues, you know, sometimes it's because we're still struggling with loving ourselves the way we need to be loved, you know. And I know that's a struggle that I have for many many years, is loving
Wow.
myself. And I can't say that I hated myself. I won't say that I did not hate myself, but I was not as confident in me as I am today. And I will say that, you know, there's still areas that I'm still trying to improve my confidence in myself.
So
But
you didn't embrace your own self, your own self
yeah,
confidence, if you will. Yeah.
yes, loving me the way I am, the way God created me, all my issues and quirks and things, you know, not saying that I don't have or need to improve, because we all need to improve, but just saying, you know, I love me the way I am, and I love the changes that are coming. I love what I'm going to become. I'm not going to stay satisfied the way I am, but I'm not going to not love me the way I am right now, you know? And
Right.
so that's not dealing with our, our topic, but some other things too that can cause us to get into the holiday blues, like overcommitment. You know, we can overcommit ourselves, um saying we're gonna purchase all this food and cook and host parties, and we're going to purchase all these gifts and put ourselves in debt and do things like that. We start overcommitting ourselves, you know, and just the anxiety of thinking about all the things that maybe sometimes we think people are expecting us to do. I think
Thank you.
having unrealistic
Yeah.
expectations, you
Yeah.
know, is something that can really, really cause us to get into that holiday blues, you know, syndrome there, if you will. And then too, social media. Social media, that's enough right there to get into any kind of blues. But I believe social media can really help people move them into a place where they are really holding themselves to a standard that does not exist. Does not exist. What do you think about that?
That is so true. And you just helped me. Let me go back just a little bit to overcommit. I did something the other day I haven't done in a long time, and you really commended me on it. I'm an avid football game goer, high school, college, pro, or sports, and I really try to young people to go to church, try to support them, and I have a god brother. He has a son that's very gifted. He's a high school football player. I went to one game earlier this season, and I was going to another one. Also, one of my members has a grandchild on the team, and I really wanted to go, but I was beat. I was tired.
And you were fasting.
And for me to go another extra mile away, and then Sunday was the next day I had to preach. It's like, okay, preacher, you got to feed the sheep on Sunday,
right?
And you can't pour from an empty cup,
right?
And it was even a championship game. To be just like a championship game, but I had to choose me.
Yes,
I had to choose me, and I've always had a hard time doing that over the years. I love blessing people. I love showing up for people. It's almost like I told somebody the other day, because I'm really into smoking meat now, smoking turkey and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Oh my God, you enjoy that? Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I get a kick out of being at the game and cheering them on, and I get a kick out of it. So it's something I enjoy and I love, but I had to choose me. I'm 61 now. I'm not 29 like I used to be. You remember when we were dating, and we first got married, me and my wife would just jump in the car at, 10 o'clock at night, go to San Diego and have dinner and just drive back to LA.
Right.
We drive down to Tommy Burgers at midnight and come back home and wouldn't even upset our stomach, back then,
Right.
But, time changes you,
It does.
You bring up wisdom. Yeah,
wisdom.
Wisdom. And then I saw what Latoya put on there, our other daughter, Latoya in Detroit. I see what she put on there, seeing yourself as God sees you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start mirroring what God sees in you, and if you're a precious vessel, loving yourself and seeing yourself how God sees you. Yes, you just put that up there. But, if you really start seeing yourself as the precious vessel that God made you, the person God made you, you're going to take care of this temple, and the temple cannot thrive on 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep. Every night. Every now and then, it's going to happen.
Right.
But you cannot continue to live like that. You're not going to have enough energy. You're going to burn out. Mm-hmm. You're going to wonder why your body is, collapsing and failing on you. We have to really take into account. I mean, even my dietary, it's just us doing things.
Right.
Those mental places.
Hold that thought. We're going to go ahead. We got to pay a bill. So we're going to go to a commercial and we'll be right back.
All right.
In a world filled with diversity, where radical faith and progressive believers come together, there's a place that's breaking all boundaries and embracing believers from all walks of life. Bullet and Flight Radio, where believers unite, boundaries break, and love triumphs. Step away from the chaos and noise of your daily life. Experience moments for yourself that are calm, serene, and full of peace. A necessary respite to foster growth within you, because self-care should be luxurious. Luxem Noir.
Okay, so we're back, and we're talking about holiday blues. And it's a real thing. It's a real thing. People really do get sad, in during the holidays. And so we were just naming some things that can cause holiday blues. You talked about loneliness, being estranged from your family members, overcommitment. Stick a pin in that overcommitment, because I saw a comment that came up that I want to elaborate on. But then unrealistic expectations, we talked about that. Um, and then I want to talk about this too. It could be a recent breakup or divorce. Um, this could be like the first holiday since you're not with that person anymore. And just think about the anxiety and the sadness that you may feel having to show up to the holiday gathering, the family gathering, and now you and that person are no longer together. They've been seeing this person, coming with you all this time, or you've been married to this person for a number of years, and now you're single. You were married, showing up to the family gatherings, and now you're single. Now you don't have that husband or that wife anymore. So those are some things that can cause people to get the holiday blues, become sad, a little depressed. Now, the depression is not like a clinical depression where it lingers and it starts to affect your work, your play, your interest in things, and it lasts for long periods of time. I'm just talking about, that buildup of anxiety and sadness and depression as we start to get closer to the holidays and we start engaging in holiday activities and different things like that. It could be financial stress, financial stress, right? Because now you're in a position where you're thinking, I got to buy my kid everything that they want, everything on their list. I got to buy every cousin, niece, uncle, auntie, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, everybody needs a gift. I think sometimes we should shut it down and go, you know what? This is not our birthday. This is Jesus' birthday. And so, we need to just shut down the gift situation. Okay. Or like in our family, we choose names. We pick names, so that means you really don't have to buy everyone in the family a gift. Now, if that's what you choose to do, I'm not against that. But what I am saying is that when we bring on that added stress and strain, or we step out and do financial things that are not appropriate, because now we have these bills, you start using those credit cards, it messes with your credit. I mean, just so many things happen. So now, not only are you sad during the holiday, but then you sad next year because you got to pay all these bills, And so those are things that that can cause the holiday blues. And then I thought about this one too, and I want you to share what you were sharing before. But social anxiety. There are people who are just very socially anxious. They don't do well in crowds, even if it's their family. It's just something about being around large numbers of people that's really difficult for them. And so they become, very self-conscious, or, become very anxious during that time where they know, okay, we're going to go over over to Aunt Kim's house, and it's going to be about 50 people there. Some of them I'm going to know, some of them I won't know, and that's just going to be a very anxious time for me. Whereas there are other people like me, like you, who love it. It's like, oh, the more the merrier. Come on, let's fill the house until there's just, nowhere else to sit. But there are some people who that's not a very comfortable thing for them, and so it's difficult. It's difficult. And then you mentioned the sad seasonal affective disorder. And that's that thing. It's a dip in the mood of people when we have more we have less daytime light, and the months are colder, and all of that. The seasons are wet and snowy and cold and all. People just tend to be more sad when it's like that. But you were talking about, what was it that you were talking about? That you were elaborating on. You were talking about
Over obligate. When you mentioned over obligating yourself too much, you talking about
over
pushing yourself,
obligating, over
believing me.
obligating.
Yeah.
Right. There was a comment that was up. It was from Z Will. Kwame, can you find that comment? That was I wanted us to address that. I think giving is hard to cut off. The guilt sets in that I can do more. Right. And I think most of us probably have dealt with that, feeling guilty. I can do more. I can do more. And you know what? And sometimes that I can do more will put us in a position where we become overwhelmed, because the more we do, the more we want to do. And then you feel like, well, I did this for this one and I did this for that one. And now I'm overwhelmed because now maybe I have an unrealistic expectation that these people want all of this stuff, or they want me to do all these things, but I'm really not capable right now, or really I don't have the bandwidth to do all of that. And so it puts us in it can make us very sad. It can make us very anxious. It could put us in a bad position where, we just, I don't know, we get sad and depressed. And that's not what the holidays are for. It really isn't. That's not what the holidays are for. I remember years ago, I have a family member who asks their daughter every year to give her a list of what she wants. And when I tell you, that list would be like 40 things. And she would go all over Los Angeles County, San Diego. I mean, there was no county off limits to get every single thing on that list. And I just thought to myself, what does that create in the mind of a child, that they should have every single thing that they want? It really does create unrealistic expectations in a child's mind to think that, this season is about me. But one thing I want to talk about, because I think the holiday blues really is something that people who are grieving deal with. We kind of skimmed over it in the beginning because I wanted to come back to it. I really think that it's it's a season that people who are grieving really deal with. Like I said earlier, because maybe this is the first Christmas, the first Thanksgiving without that person. Maybe that person was responsible for the sweet potato pie, or maybe they cooked the best greens, and those could be triggers, for people to really start feeling bad, really missing that person during that time because of those things that they would contribute to the family fun. But one of the things that I have a friend who is dealing with some grief, and I was asking her, she was really on my mind one day, and I was thinking about it, and I asked her, I said, what are your expectations for your grief? What are your expectations? Do you think that you're being extra? Do you think that you should be over it by now? Do you think that you should no longer be sad? I mean, what do you expect right now? What is it that you expect for yourself? What do you think you should be feeling, or how you should be feeling at this time? And I asked her that because I feel like sometimes when we are in a period of grief and we're going through that, sometimes we don't give ourselves enough grace.
Wow.
I really feel like we don't give ourselves enough grace to say, you know what, right now, it is not business as usual. It's just not. Even though I enjoy being with family and I enjoy being with friends, I miss that person. And that makes me sad. And I don't think we are less a Christian, less an adult, less a mother, or auntie, a friend, or whatever. I don't think that we're less of anything when we just stop and really acknowledge how we are feeling inside. I really, really, really think that it's okay for us to do that. To really stop, be aware of what we are feeling inside, and really, really think about, okay, I need to give myself grace. Grace. It's okay for me. I think I said in my mantra, it's okay for me not to be okay sometimes. And sometimes, because we are the ones who are always doing for others and being there for others, we don't do that for ourselves. Sometimes we are not there for ourselves. And I think during this period, during this season, we just passed Thanksgiving, and now we're moving into the Christmas season. I really think what we should do is really give ourselves some grace. And it doesn't have to be that you lost that loved one just last year or just last month. It could be 2 or 3 years. I was telling my producer before we started today, I was telling him that my mom passed away when I was 11 years old, but I still get sad about her not being here sometimes. I get sad. Um, I miss her. I miss the fact that she never knew my children. I mean, it's a lot of things that, could bring up those feelings for me, even though my mother died, what, 48 years ago. And so it can just be a very sad time for us. But if we give ourselves some grace, if we love on ourselves and don't have these unrealistic expectations of ourselves, especially when we're in a season of grief, love on yourself, be good to you. Take some time out to treat yourself good, to do some self-care. You can reach out to somebody. If you're in that place where you're like, you know what, right now, it's just hard for me. It is hard for me, very hard for me. And so, instead of just sitting with that and just, not expressing it and sharing it, reach out. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to someone and let them know how you're feeling. Don't be afraid, or don't feel like people are going to say, well, you should be over that by now. You should be okay. No, that's not true. Everyone grieves the way they do.
You
And
know
even,
what?
yeah, and even during the whole grieving cycle, the stages of grief, man, look, we grieve. We can be in one stage, go to another stage, and come right back to the stage we were in before.
Right.
That cycle is not one continuous cycle. It ebbs and it flows, and it's up and it's down. So we're running out of time, but
Yeah.
so reach out. These are some things that I want people to do, or I want you to consider, because I can't tell you what to do when you're in that if you have the holiday blues and you're in that season of grief. But what I can say is reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out.
Kimberly,
Then provide yourself with self-care. I'm sorry, go ahead, babe.
no, one of my five, I'll say one of my five, was
Okay.
assess relationships.
Uh-oh.
Said some people you may have just, completely back off of that moment, but assess your relationships and set boundaries. Some people
Yeah.
just make you feel horrible. You don't need to be around them at this time. Don't, I said Sunday, call ideas a blessing, and also doorbell ring, so.
Right. And that's very true, because we as a couple, we can testify to this. We can testify to this. There was a time we had went somewhere, and when we went to that place for that holiday, we both felt so uncomfortable. And I don't think I think the people there didn't care that we felt uncomfortable. I think it was their intent for us to feel uncomfortable. And when we left out of there, we said to each other, we'll never go there again. We'll not expose ourselves to that type of treatment, and we'll not expose our children to that type of
And we
treatment.
haven't.
And we have not. We have not. We love them, love you, boos, but no. Okay, and then the other thing too, limit your social media. I think I'm going to say that again. Hallelujah. Limit your social media, because right now everybody's going to be posting all of the holiday fun fair. They're going to be posting their Christmas trees, and they're going to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. We're okay, because I decorated, and I'm going to post some cute things on, a couple trees that I put up. But what I'm saying is, if you find yourself in that place where looking at social media is only going to make you sadder, back up off of that. Back up off of that. Limit your social media.
That's good.
And then, if it's just too hard for you, just like we were talking about, we set boundaries and we made a decision that we weren't going to visit that group of people anymore. Sometimes you can also create new traditions. Okay. If those old traditions are too hard, they're just really too hard for you right now, then you create some new traditions. Create some new traditions for, your family, for yourself. Maybe instead of having Christmas dinner, you have Christmas brunch. Instead of having Christmas brunch, you have Christmas breakfast. And then you have that breakfast, and then you have the rest of your day to just be good to you.
And you can expect the old crowd that rejected you to get upset because you got a new crowd.
Look now, nobody told you to go start no stuff.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Real quick. Can I do it real quick? Stay active and get outdoors is number one.
Yeah.
Share how you're feeling with a trusted loved one.
Yes.
Third is assess your relationships, assess them, relationship, and set boundaries. Consider volunteering throughout the holidays, something you like to do, volunteer. And the fifth one was create a coping sheet or depression toolkit.
Okay, those are
journaling, good. Acupuncture, listening to
Yes.
music, spirituality,
massage,
calm,
yes,
positive self-talk, all that.
Yes, positive self-talk, going on walks.
Toolkit.
We get up every morning and we take our dog on a walk. But there are some times when I go by myself, and that is like a time where I can do a prayer walk. That's like the time, because we have a great time talking. It's a good time for us to share and exchange ideas during that time. But my time when I'm by myself, it's a prayer walk. That's the time that I can really talk to God and express myself. I might even talk out loud while I'm walking, But what I'm saying is, and we're gonna have to bring it to a close. What I'm saying is, we, during this season, if we don't express anything else, be good to yourself. Be considerate of you. Take care of you. Be compassionate with you during this time, because this is a hard time for some people. It's just a hard time, and you need to have some grace for you during this time, because holidays can be the best thing in the world, and then holidays can be the worst thing for some people. So look, y'all, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what holidays look like for you. I don't know what it feels like if you have lost a loved one and you're going through the grieving process right now. I don't know what stage of grief you're in. But what I do know is that you should give yourself some grace to move through whatever the season or whatever this part of that season is for you, because you deserve it. And if no one else can give you, now we can't give ourselves as much grace as God gives us, but we should be able to give ourselves the same type of grace that we're willing to give others. Okay? So take your time. Let's move through this season that we're going into, Christmas season or whatever it is, holiday season. Let's move into it slow. Don't push yourself. Don't overdo things. Don't over extend yourself. Don't treat yourself good during this time so that you can move through it with some grace, some ease, and that you're not so hard on yourself. And that you're not just rejecting. Sometimes we can get to a place where we're thinking, oh, I don't want to, the holidays, I don't deal with the holidays. Some people, they lost their mom. They don't want to deal with Mother's Day, things like that. But if we really grace ourselves through those times, I believe that we can reconnect in those places and begin to love, those holidays and be comfortable during that time again. Okay. So thank you, babe. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for sharing that great information that you had. Look, like and share this with someone who may need to hear what we were talking about tonight. And you know what? Take care of yourselves. Love on yourselves and be good to yourselves. You all take care and you stay safe. Good night.
Good night.